Yo, what's good, y'all, man? We got film theory, man. Spider-Man Save No One, 3 Spider-Man No Way Home theories, man. So, hey, got my boy film theories, man, #1 trender. You know what I'm saying? Everybody staying tuned on this shit, man. So, yeah, about to check it out. And, yeah, let's get it. Spider-Man Save No One, 3 Spider-Mans. Okay, let's get it.
Okay, let's be real. Spider-Man No Way Home was a blast. If nothing else, you have to admire a movie that brought together 3 separate franchises spanning 20 years. Sure.
Yeah, facts. Okay.
Sure, Endgame was impressive and all, but that was always the it was always the end game for the MCU from the very beginning. But here,
Right, that was yeah.
no one could have seen this one coming. Just absolutely so much fun. Which means that now we have to rip this thing to shreds, because that ending, man, we have got to talk about it. Well, the movie was great and all. Peter Parker's final wish left me with a lot of questions. And it seems like I'm not the only one.
I mean, does the guy have a birth certificate? A social security card?
What happens with all the videos and news reports about him being Spider-Man?
So, what did old Tommy...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He got started over. So, he got started over.
Holland actually wish for in the final moments of the movie, and what does
he thought that was saying? He said, "Hey, do it, motherfucker, do that shit, do that spell, motherfucker." You know what I'm saying?
That actually translate to based on every clue that we see in the film's final moments? And more importantly, what does it mean for the future of this character and this franchise? That, my friends, is what I'm aiming to answer today.
Film 3, hello internet. That's what I like this shit. Mad Pat, I like this shit.
Hello,
like
internet. Welcome to Film Theory, where I use my Peter Tingle each and every week to spot and solve lore mysteries. Obviously, get your minds out of the gutter, guys. Okay, so Spider-Man No Way Home really needs no introduction at this point. It seems like everyone in the world has seen this thing. Probably has, actually.
Yeah, but that bitch hit, what, 5 billion or something? Billion plus? So, yeah, pretty much everybody in the world saw this shit. I ain't gonna lie. No cap.
Considering that it had the #2 opening weekend of all time of any movie ever. That is insane. In fact, it only took that one single weekend to make it the highest grossing movie of 20.
Cause Sheen Shot was good too, but it ain't like, you feel me? But I kind of feel, I mean, you know, he knew in all 2 with the MCU. But I believe the second one gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Well, the first one was top notch. Even though I was surprised, I'm like, damn, everybody forward Sheen Shot like that. I'm like, God damn. I already know Black Widow, man. That wasn't. I already know that wasn't shit. I mean, it was cool. I saw it on Disney Plus, but yeah, type shit. Even Venom, you know this thing. I saw that shit. What was it, Fast and Furious? That music, well, shit.
2021. After a year where theaters were really struggling to find their footing, the old webhead proved that people were willing to come back.
Facts. I mean, and then plus it's doing the hard time in the world, and people still watching. Whatever I was saying, like, you just gotta be confident. That's why MCU is confident. Sony wasn't confident, but I know MCU, they was confident. You know what I mean? They already know, like, it's Spider-Man. They gonna do numbers regardless of what's going on in the world, type shit.
Provided you have a huge IP, pay off one of cinema's biggest cliffhangers, and tap into 20 years of built-up nostalgia. You know, no biggie. But this movie really does have it all. Lots of bad guys come together, Tobey Maguire getting his back cracked, great power, great responsibility, all that stuff. Really solid across the board. But gotta be honest here, anytime you tamper with the multiverse, you're gonna be getting some questions from lore nerds like me, and this movie leaves open some big ones. Questions that I aim to definitively answer today. Or, you know, as definitive as I can until they retcon something to fit the ongoing narrative that they're looking to tell. First and foremost, why are we only seeing the villains? As a reminder, the entire premise of the movie kicks off when Peter Parker asks Doctor Strange to cast a spell that makes everyone forget that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
After Peter tampers with the spell, when
it was like, oh, well, you know what? I want to see if MJ will remember me or some shit. Like, no, wait, you talk too damn much.
Many times it breaks the fabric of reality, opening the door for villains like Lizard and
Dr. Otto Octavius
to come through from other universes, because as the movie tells us, they knew the Spider-Man Peter Parker connection. At least most of them did, prompting our first major discussion here. Electro is a bit hazy on this point, since in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Max Dillon never explicitly makes the Peter Parker Spider-Man connection. In fact, it seems like No Way Home acknowledges this. There's even a joke about it where Electro, upon seeing Andrew Garfield's face at the end of the movie, says that he'd assumed that Peter Parker was gonna be black the entire.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was like, you know, he said one thing y'all to do is make a black Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Type shit. So that's why, you know, that's what he was doing. So that's what they gonna do, probably make Miles Morales or some shit. You know, I don't know. What we
Entire time. So is that just the writers being sloppy so they can fit in a Miles Morales joke, or?
No, it was a lot of clues though. It was sloppy. I think they just did that for hints and shit. People, you know, that catch on to that shit.
Are they actually playing some level of 4D chess that we mere nerds aren't privy to? Well, there are two possible ways to explain Electro's presence, both of which require a fair amount of squinting to make work. First, we hear in No Way Home that Electro was, and this is a direct quote from the movie that I can't play for obvious reasons, he was stuck in the grid absorbing data before his memory disappears and he dies. Now, this isn't exactly true if you go back to the source material. Electro was actually in a power grid, specifically a hydroelectric power grid.
That's what I said. I don't know Electro died though, because if he in electric, he don't really die. That's what I was saying though. But probably for the movie's sake, they just probably said, okay, for, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
And I know science wasn't your strongest suit, Hollywood, so this might come as a shock to you, but electricity is different than the internet. I know, I was just as blown away as you are. But I guess if you're assuming that he's absorbing electricity and internet in this scene, then you could say that Max got the info through accessing Peter's online data, maybe.
Oh, okay, let's see. Okay.
Like I said, it's a pretty weak sauce explanation. The other angle here, and this is the one that I think is canonical to the story and also works with the whole I thought you'd be black joke, is that Max does know Spider-Man's name is Peter, he just doesn't know his face. In the final fight, Electro is knocked unconscious after playing the itsy bitsy spider on the power grid, because this movie just makes all the worst decisions. Gwen Stacy arrives and calls out to Peter, at which point we smash cut to Electro becoming alert and ready to attack again.
When I say you turn that power on, you turn it on, no matter what.
Peter.
So that definitely explains how Electro knows that Spider-Man's name is Peter, but
Oh, because he came on when he said Peter, and he's like, yeah, oh,
think that there's still a missing piece here, and that's Peter's best friend, Harry, who breaks Electro out of captivity to help him take care of Spider-Man.
I'm Harry Osborn. I want to make you...
Oh, yeah, that's the Harry Osborn, okay.
You want Spider-Man, and I can give him to you.
At this point in the movie, Harry knows that Peter and Spider-Man share some sort of connection.
You took his picture. You know him.
Harry most likely tells all of this to Electro after he breaks him out. So when Max hears the name Peter from Gwen, he's able to make that final connection to Peter Parker, Harry's friend that he was told about. Oh boy, there you go, screenwriters. I saved your butts on that one. Something tells me that no one really intended all of that, but it does manage to work out when you read between the lines. Anyway, putting Electro aside, I'm more interested in the bigger question, why only the villains? Why don't we see anyone else come through here, like girlfriends or best friends? In the Sam Raimi trilogy, Mary Jane knows...
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying too, but I think they said they didn't want to be in the movie. I mean, but we heard rumors like, I think Spider-Man girlfriend, you know, in the movie, supposed to come, some shit. It was rumors and shit, but, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? Type shit. But I think they didn't want to be in the movie. But yeah, that's what I was wondering too, like, why didn't you see them? You know what I mean? Or the other people. Type shit, but I don't know.
Peter's identity all too well.
Go get him, Tiger.
And in The Amazing Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy treats it like it's the most casual thing in the world.
Consider coming in through the lobby.
The best friends in these movies also tend to know. The Harry Osborns from both universes know Peter's secret.
First we'll see who's behind the mask.
Oh yeah, true.
Peter.
So, was this just a decision made out of convenience, or is there an actual in-universe explanation for it? Well, believe it or not, but this one actually lines up pretty well with the lore. I don't know, again, if this was intentional or not, but as Doctor Strange prepares his magic, Peter requests that his girlfriend, his best friend, and Aunt May all get exempted from the spell.
So MJ's gonna forget about everything we
Yeah, he was talking too much.
Oh my god, Ned. Oh, my Aunt May should really stop talking.
And so Strange removes them from the magic to try and meet Peter's request. However, when the whole thing goes haywire and people who knew Peter's identity start crossing over, those people are still eliminated. As such, all the girlfriends, best friends, and aunts aren't included and therefore don't cross over into the MCU. Was it intentional? No, probably not. Is it a cool coincidence that helps explain the rationale for that part of the movie? Yeah, I think so. One of the other things the movie just kinda glosses over that I thought was interesting to think about was the implication of curing all of these characters. The whole second act of the movie is Peter sacrificing and losing...
Oh yeah, he did cure him. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. He did cure him, I ain't gonna lie to him.
Everything, including Aunt May, to try and cure these villains, working under the assumption that he's saving the...
So if they cure him, then they back to where they was then. From the first, you know, first of all, you know what I mean? But they could have turned back to evil. In a way though, I ain't lie though. You feel me? All they gotta do is just do what they did before. You feel me, man? And then go back to, you know what I'm saying, to that shit. But yeah.
Their lives and giving them a second chance in their own universes. Except, nope, that is decidedly not true. The Sandman doesn't die in his movie, so kind of a lost cause there. Same thing with the Lizard, who already is transformed back into a human by the end of his movie, so redundancy is redundant. That leaves Electro and Green Goblin, neither of whom want to be cured, which opens a big old can of ethical worms about forcing a cure on individuals that don't want to be cured. But worst of all, perhaps, is the situation for Doc Ock, who, if you actually look back at the original movie, wouldn't be saved at all. In No Way Home, he says that he's portaled over into Tom Holland's reality in the middle of a battle against Spider-Man. Specifically, he says, quote, "Spider-Man was trying to stop my fusion reactor, so I stopped him. I had him by the throat."
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, he said I had him by the throat. He like, he was mad about that shit too.
And then I was
He's at that shit. He was mad.
Tiny problem with that. By the time Doc Ock has Spider-Man by the throat in Spider-Man 2, his fusion reactor is already seconds away from exploding. It is far beyond the point of saving. The good doctor himself is mere seconds away from his own redemption at this point.
Listen to me now.
Seriously, Doc Ock already makes the decision to turn good and sacrifice himself, so Tom Holland's help with a fixed neural implant here also amounts to just a meaningless gesture for something that was gonna happen anyway. In short,
yeah, and then he changed his chip and he turned good, so he didn't really need that yeah, like he said, ejection.
This whole movie was extraneous because you either don't change any character's outcome or you just cure people who don't want to be cured in the first place. Sorry about your sacrifice, Aunt May. Doesn't look like it did much good, but hey, at least
yeah, she died out of some crazy shit, boy. That whole thing went to, I think, I don't know if I forgot when it went to the head or some shit. But
got to say the iconic line. But now, the big one, the ending wish. At the end of the movie, the Green Goblin uses a pumpkin bomb to destroy the Deus Vox Machina, causing reality to shred and even more entities to try and cross over into Tom Holland's universe. Doctor Strange tries to repair the rift, but it's just too much. He can't contain it. So with no other option, Peter makes one final sacrifice. He asks Strange to make the world forget about Peter Parker.
He said,
now, I've rewatched the scene a couple of times, and this is exactly how it's transcribed.
They're here because of you.
What if everyone forgot who I was? They're coming here because of me, right? Because I'm Peter Parker. So cast a new spell. But this time, make everyone forget who Peter Parker is. Make everyone forget me.
That would mean everyone who knows and loves you would have no memory of you.
He sound just like Doctor Strange too. Nah, that's fine.
It would be as though you never existed.
And it works. The rift gets repaired and the world
and they see Doctor Strange didn't want to want to cast that spell, but yeah, you had to do what you gotta do. Unless you want to bring some more villains in the bitch. And that bitch would probably be 5 hours. Even though shit, I don't care. It could be 5. Shit, I watch that bitch. But you know what I mean? They won't make the bitch too long. So it's like, hey, do what they gotta do.
No longer knows the identity as Spider-Man. Hooray! But it comes at the cost of MJ, Ned, Happy, and all the others.
Yeah, everybody. So he basically, honestly, he out the MCU. Not like permanently, but I'm just saying, like, hey, nobody don't know his ass. Even Hawkeye, like Captain America, like everybody, like it's Ant-Man, like goddamn, nobody knows his ass for real shit.
Have no clue who Peter is. So it's just a simple memory wipe spell, right? What's so complicated to understand about that? Well, if only it were that simple. As Peter and Disney complicated to understand about that. Well, if just a simple memory wipe spell, right? What's so complicated to understand about that? Well, if only it were that simple. As Peter and Disney are more than happy to remind us of repeatedly throughout the movie, Peter is the most famous person in the world at this point because Mysterio outed him as the identity of Spider-Man. And he did this in the form of a video. Did that video get wiped away by the spell? Sure, let's assume that it was. But then, what about all the other physical evidence of Peter Parker? Before the big climax, Peter takes a selfie video that gets broadcast out to the world. Does that disappear too? Or his text message?
Oh yeah, that's true too, yeah.
Just MJ? Or Flash's book? Are those all just gone? What about his application to MIT? The simple answer here would be that the spell dusted all of those things too. All physical traits.
I think it's just a memory, but it may be that too though. Maybe that though. Maybe
pieces of Peter Parker.
Cause he did move to another apartment, like, cause you know what I'm saying, you feel me?
Or just poof away. Like Doctor Strange said, it'll be as though you never existed. Except yet again, it's not that clear cut. We see in the final scenes of the movie that MJ is wearing the broken black dolly.
Yeah, so she remembers something though. That's why she was looking at him, but not really though, but she was though, because you know, like something ain't, you feel me? Something ain't right.
A necklace that Peter gave her in the previous movie. In addition, we learned that both Ned and
she knows something though. Ned don't know shit, but she knows something though. Ned is, you know, he lost. Period. You know what I'm saying? He gone. But she knows something though, I ain't gonna lie.
MJ have gotten into MIT, something that Peter had a direct hand in earlier in the film. So it seems like his physical actions have had some sort of memory on the world, even if the world doesn't necessarily remember him. So maybe Peter's just gone then, right? Everything he touched and altered up to that point stays, but anything with the name Peter Parker on it's just dusted away. Not again. On one hand, we see Peter studying for his GEDs. For those of you who don't know, the GED here in the US is a test that allows you to show that you have high school level skills.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, because I saw he was taking a GED test, something like that. Yeah,
by taking it and passing it functions pretty much the same way as a diploma. So the fact that he's taking it implies either A, that his academic record has been erased as part of the spell, or B, he isn't returning to finish the school year. Again, most likely because he no longer has a student record. But on the
you don't got no record, you don't got shit. So you gotta take that.
On the other hand, we see Peter get himself an apartment. This implies that he has to have himself some level of an identity, as well as a fairly decent credit score. As anyone who's ever tried to get an apartment can tell you, you need a social security number and a history of income to be able to lease from a landlord. So a lot of conflicting information there. But of all the conflicting evidence we have, none perhaps is as confusing as his interactions with Happy at Aunt May's grave. When Peter asks how he knew her, Happy replies through Spider-Man. So Happy knows Spider-Man, but again, not Peter Parker. How could that possibly make any sense? Because Happy knows May not via Spider-Man, but because Spider-Man is connected to Peter Parker. Without the link of Peter Parker, there's no way for Happy to meet May. And yet, somehow, under the arbitrary rules of the spell, he does apparently know her. Which then prompts the question, does that mean MJ, under the memory spell, remembers being Spider-Man's girlfriend? Because again, she knows.
Possibly. I think she know, but she's still like memory erased. But I think she knows she wearing a necklace and shit.
So Spider-Man, but she doesn't know Peter? Same thing with Ned. Does he know that he's Spider-Man's guy?
No, Ned is lost. Ned lost. I ain't gonna lie.
In the chair.
Ned gone, folks.
Taking all of the evidence.
That dude gone, man. No cap.
And questions into account, I think there's only one way to explain all of this. The spell doesn't erase Peter Parker from existence. It just erases people's memory of him, and along with that, erases any physical thing that would be considered or connected to a memory of him. But Peter's achievements, the aftermath of thing that he's explicitly done, those all remain. It's a difference of qualitative versus quantitative actions, which is pretty confusing, so let me explain with some examples. Mysterio's video claiming that he's being attacked by Spider-Man, that still exists because it was tied to an action that was being done by Spider-Man. But the part where he calls out Peter Parker, that now is gone because it would be dependent on Mysterio knowing Peter Parker. Flash's book, gone because again, it's based on Flash's relationship and memories with Peter Parker. Meanwhile, Peter's bank account and social security number, those would remain. Earning money and putting it into a bank or being given a social security number are physical acts that don't hinge on the memory or identity of Peter Parker. Just like giving a physical necklace to MJ. She has the necklace, but I would guess she doesn't remember where she got it from. Those actions exist separate from the identity of Peter. Basically, when people see his name, they'll just think of him as some random anonymous person, like we see MJ do in the coffee shop. So what then would this mean for the series? Well, if I'm right, it would mean that both MJ and Ned shouldn't remember their interactions with Spider-Man. To both of them, he was Peter Parker first, and when they're helping Spider-Man, they're really helping Peter. So all of those memories have got to go. Happy, meanwhile, is able to fall into the opposite bucket. His relationship with Peter started through the identity of Spider-Man, and while he certainly grew to love the boy behind the mask, the root of that relationship was the secret identity, thus allowing him to remember Aunt May and chalk those memories up to Spider-Man's influence. Likewise, Spider-Man should still be able to continue on as an Avenger, but here no one will know his
well, I'm saying no one know him, so it's like
real name, making the eventual reunion with the Guardians of the Galaxy real awkward.
Who are you? We're the Avengers, man.
But to me, what's probably most interesting
he said, we the Avengers, man.
about all this is how it relates to the Vulture. As you might recall, he's the biggest dangling threat in the series. The only one who knows Spider-Man's identity and who keeps getting teased as pulling together a Sinister Six.
Is that on you?
It's on our little spider friend. I've got some boys on the outside who'd love to meet him.
In fact, he's so important that he's being used to market the upcoming
Morbius. So he like, I ain't gonna lie, but I think they doing that because making send their own Sinister Six, some shit like that. But yeah.
Morbius movie.
Hey, Dr. Mike, you and I should stay in touch.
Yeah, so he's on shit. You know, you and me should stay in touch.
Even many to question whether Morbius is now a part of the MCU, and Sony's response thus far has been yesn't. They're being real cagey about it, but in reality, no, he's not. This is all just a fake out. By the rules that we've just gone over, the Vulture wouldn't know Peter's secret identity. The scene in the car in Homecoming would be a forgotten memory. As such, all of the teases from both Morbius and Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies should ultimately amount to nothing. And moments in trailers like this are just more instances of movie studios pulling boners. That's a Ralph boner for those of you who don't get the reference.
You're Ralph Boner?
Boner.
All of it fake outs to sell tickets. So there you have it, friends. No Way Home. A lot of seeming gaps in the plot that just squeak by getting solved if you look at them deep enough. Well done, screenwriters. You've escaped me this time. Which leaves us then with a single Spider-Man who has literally no history. What a nice clean slate to start a brand new trilogy on. One might call it a reboot of sorts.
You said Home Alone, Home Sweet Home, Spidey Home.
Wait, who was it that predicted that? By whatever means Wanda Maximoff zaps in during the post-credit scene to set us up for the multiverse of madness, the story is going to wrap up in such a way that, while there can be a path forward for Tom Holland's Peter Parker, he can also be soft rebooted. I guess sometimes even a blind squirrel finds an...
He could be, if I said, I'll look at it as that too, a soft reboot. Not a reboot like a whole thing, but a soft reboot. For this trilogy, you know what I mean, for the 3 movies coming up. So now I think they said college, but it probably not be. If you think GED test, they probably ain't no college. But it's like a soft reboot, like I would say, starting all over again.
Not. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
But anyway, man, leave a like, man, to my channel. Let me know what y'all think in the comment down below. But yeah though. Let me know, y'all, man. Yeah, like, sub, and yeah, peace.